everybody. I'm Vivian Wang. This is my assistant, Christina. I never know how you say your last name.
Cisco.
All right. We are going to show you how I create one of my pieces. From the beginning, there is a sketch. It's called Mongolian Brothers, and they are relatives of Genghis Khan. This is a commission piece, so we have a picture of the completed piece that was made several months ago.
It's a unique combination of mixed media. We have stoneware, paint, gold leaf, gems. And then after that, we have other elements that are in glass, and that's painted as well. Hands and feet that are glass.
Hands for the big guy.
Yeah.
We have a big guy here and a little guy. And then we have the little baby's head, which takes about 2 weeks in the kiln. And the big guy, which even takes longer in the kiln because he's over 5 inches in diameter. See? And he probably weighs about 20 pounds, just the head itself, because it's solid glass. We put the epoxy around the hand. We insert the hand. Oh dear, this one won't go in. We're going to have to fix it.
Well, I'll have to make that thinner.
And we want to show you a piece that came out of the plaster cast. It looks like this, extremely rough. So this hasn't been touched, it's just been taken out of the mold. And if you look closely, you'll see that there's a lot of irregularities in the glass, which all has to be hand sanded, which is called code work. Then, after cleaning it up, then it becomes this very perfect glass shape. Now the body is made in clay. I use slabs of clay. So it's made hollow. This whole thing is hollow, even though it weighs 20 pounds. And it is then taken out of the kiln. It's actually in the kiln only 4 days because it's ceramic. It goes up to 2,130 degrees, and it's stoneware, so it's very, very hard clay. It comes out and it's sanded a little bit. Then it's painted. I use casein paint, though I'm experimenting with some acrylics now, slow drying acrylics. Christina does the gold leafing and the placement of all the gems. I will now put the piece together for you. Okay, we'll see you in 3 days. Bye. We left you 3 days ago, and now the piece is finished. And Mongolian Brothers portrays Ogedai Khan. He was born in 1186, the third of Genghis Khan's 4 sons. He's portrayed at the age of 10. The young boy sitting on his lap depicts Tului Khan, born in 1191. He's portrayed at the age of 5. Genghis Khan's 4th son. Both boys are wearing deals, a traditional Mongolian garment with a skirt at the bottom. The asymmetric clothing seen on the little baby's bodice are a popular Mongolian clothing detail. And Ogedai was Genghis's favorite. His character and dependability were the reasons he made Ogedai his successor. Like all Mongols at the time, Ogedai was raised and educated as a warrior from childhood and was part of his father's plan to establish a world empire.
We start off with a clay piece. So these are pressed out, and then Vivian customizes their hairstyles, gives them their own unique personality. And so then she'll record images of the raw, like greenware. And these are some molds. So all of these heads and hands and feet are then cast into molds. These are made out of plaster and silica, then they're cleaned out and they're filled with glass.
We're doing an ABC of how you create a piece from clay.
Yeah.
Right.
And then here are some of the molds. So these are basically crucibles for the glass to then melt in the kiln and become a casting. And this is the frit that we use. We've been using Bullseye frit. This is the clear transparent, but we've also used Gaffer in the past. I believe this one is Gaffer.
Yes. Bullseye comes out more white. It's fired at a different temperature. It looks different. There are different things about it. Oh, I never asked you this, but when you're sanding it, is it easier to sand when you do cold work on it? Is it easier to do cold work, or are they about the same?
Tactile wise, the hardness is pretty equal. Gaffer gets less bubbles because Bullseye gets this really pretty champagne bubble texture inside. So as I'm sanding, sometimes more bubbles will pop up in the Bullseye one. So then we have to go back and fill those holes that surface.
But Gaffer weighs much more than Bullseye.
This is us figuring out how to load the kiln. And then they come out with little chunks of the plaster silica dust on them, and then we have to wash them in order to reveal the glass. And then this is just images of a video of me sanding. And so this is the texture. Once you sand and sand and sand the glass with water, of course, it becomes this like sludge of silica, and that's that white stuff that you see on top.
Oh, but look how it looks after it's all cleaned up. It's nice and smooth.
Yeah, little by little.
Yes. And Christina has a secret way of doing that hair, so it comes out perfectly. And we will not reveal her secret.
Okay. I was about to say it. Good thing you said it's a secret. And so here are some sketches that then Vivian does for the gold leaf placement and also the gem placement. And so this is the before, right? So these are the stoneware pieces that are, Vivian hand builds, fires, and then paints. And then I go ahead and add tape to block off the areas that will get gold leaf.
So then she applies the gold leaf. Oh, here, she's going to show you what it looks like when it's stripped. Okay, then the gold leaf is applied when the tape is on. Then Christina takes the tape off, and then you'll get all these areas where you only have gold leaf.
Yeah, and then the gems are applied. And this was the piece before it got handed over back again to Vivian so that she could do all of the epoxy.
Which is the most fun part of making a piece. And I'm being really sarcastic because it takes days. Epoxy, you have to epoxy. Oh, do you have a picture of the foot?
Oh, yeah.
All right. Okay. Okay. So here we have a foot. I'm going to insert it. So I put the epoxy like a donut shape at the top of the glass piece. Then it's inserted into the pant so you don't see the epoxy, but you only can get one part of the epoxy attached to the pant, which is the back of the pant. Okay, and then the rest of it is just one big hole, which then after the epoxy dries, you have to go back and fill up the whole hole. So it's really a long process. And the drying time is like many, many hours long before you even want to touch it, so that the glass piece won't move. The epoxy has to be completely dry. So usually I would put in the 2 feet and let it dry overnight before I touch that again. And that was the last part of it, the heads. But as you saw before, the piece was put on its back to put in the hands and the feet. After the feet dries, then you can flip it up and put in the rest of the pieces. Actually, you have to put it on its side. I don't have a photo. You have to put it on its side in order to put in one hand, let the hand dry, and then flip it to the other side to put the other hand in, which is the hand that's holding the baby.